Okay, all right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome Patrick Reed to the virtual press room here at the Charles Schwab Challenge. Patrick, thanks for joining us. You're making your fifth start in the event. You coming off top 10 last year, tied for seventh. Thanks, I would imagine, in large part to that 7 under 63 in round three. Just some thoughts on being back here to a place that's obviously near and dear to you.
Yeah, it's awesome to be back, especially with having fans this year compared to last year. It's awesome to get just that interaction going, and being back, being in Texas is always nice, hot and humid, which is what I'm used to back home, and really just seeing the golf course mature. And I know it's rained a lot recently, but just seeing how the golf course has changed just a little bit with the growth of trees and growth of how the rough is right now and everything. It seems like it's going to be a good test and a fun week.
Okay, all right, and I've got one more question, but just as a reminder to those on the line, if you do have a question, please type your name into the chat so that I'll see that you have a question and I will call on you. Patrick, obviously a great season. You picked up your ninth career tour win at Farmers Insurance Open, one of 5 top 10 finishes, and if I looked right, 2 of your top 10 finishes have come in your last 4 starts and just outside of the top 10 last week at the PGA Championship. Just kind of assess the state of your game now as you're heading into the week.
Yeah, the game feels good. I mean, it feels like a lot of the things that we've been working on are starting to take shape and are starting to hold. And that being said, it just gives me a little bit more confidence that I'm not only moving in the right direction, but able to hit quality golf shots and set myself up for more putts and birdies. Because I think that's the big thing when you come out here, especially this week with the conditions being softer, is it's gonna be a premium on getting the ball in fairway and being able to attack this golf course. And with all the work we've done with the full swing and the golf game, it feels like it's rounding off nicely where I can attack the golf courses rather than sit there and still try to play golf swing.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, we'll take a few questions and we'll start with Adam Schupacker, Golf Week. Adam, go ahead. You're on mute, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
We're coming up to the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. It's a place where you won earlier this year. How comfortable do you feel about that golf course?
But obviously, with having a W there, you are more comfortable going into the week. But being a U.S. Open, knowing that they're going to make that place firmer, faster, more penalizing when you get in the rough, and then on top of it, there's some extra tees they've added to make that golf course longer. It's going to be a great test. At the end of the day, going into a place like Torrey, you have to have full control not only off the tee but on second shots in the green, and your putting has to be on. I mean, that's a place where you're going to have a lot of 4 to 6 footers for par, hopefully a couple of them for birdie, but you're going to have to make those putts in order to play well, especially at a U.S. Open.
What did you take away from your game last week at the PGA Championship?
I think the biggest thing was, just I felt like I drove the ball, okay. I felt like the driver needed to improve a hair, and was able to kind of get it dialed in towards the weekend, start hitting more quality drives, and I felt like the game was actually where it needed to be. A couple loose swings here or there, and a couple burned edges there, here and there that cost me from being able to contend and have a chance to win the golf tournament. But it felt good. I mean, I haven't hit that many long clubs into greens before. I mean, I hit a lot of 4 irons, 5 irons, hybrids into some of the greens, and I felt like I was able to control those and hit the shot shapes I was trying to hit, and really control the golf ball, which is something that ever since I switched to Leadbetter we've been working on, is trying to get more comfortable with the full swing where it almost feels automatic, and I feel like it's getting a lot closer where it needs to be.
Adam, you still there? Adam, you still there? Okay. All right, we'll move on. We'll come back to Adam if he had a follow-up question. Patrick, I just had one more for you. You've obviously been out here for a long time, grown as far as your skill level goes, talent level goes, and fitting in on tour. And obviously I've seen you a lot over the years. Just comment on your feelings, how you've kind of grown and developed as a player over the years to kind of put you in the position that you feel comfortable in, that you're in today.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, when I first got on tour and really same thing in college and amateur golf is, growing up, you live and die by every golf shot, you live and die by every round. And once I got out here, started playing more, and then once I had my first little one, Windsor Wells, it basically put perspective on the game of golf for me, that it's a job, but it's not everything. At the end of the day, you have to go out there, and when you're inside the ropes and when you're working, you put in as hard work and as many hours as you can, and full focus. But then once you're off the golf course, especially with how long the seasons are with these wraparound seasons, you have to learn how to let it go and kind of get away from the game, and so you can mentally recharge. Because that's the biggest thing out here. Everyone can hit the ball really well, everyone can make putts, but it's who can mentally hang in there week in, week out, who can really flip that switch and focus really hard when they're playing, and then also who can shut it down right afterwards so they can mentally be ready to play each and every week. And I feel like that's something that we've been able to do. It's been really well, and really dialing in the amount of work and the workload that we take on each week, so we're fresh come tournament time. Because I'm a grinder. I love to work. I love to be out there and grinding, and if anything, if I err at all, I'm going to err on the overworking. So then come tournament time, you're not fully fresh where you should be.
Were you, obviously Phil was a unique situation last week, but are you surprised at how well and aggressive and good the young players coming out today are, or is that kind of fit into what you anticipated and expected?
I expected them to come out and be able to compete and play and have chances to win on the PGA Tour, because that's the generation that was growing up, just like my generation. We were growing up watching Tiger and Phil and guys like that play and compete, and the way they were around the golf course, you could see how hard they were working. You could see these things, and a lot of us try to emulate both the way they played and then how they, how hard they worked and what they did. And when you watch and you kind of mold yourself after their work ethic, you go out there and you start working that hard, it just kind of instills in you you have to work that hard, and therefore you're going to improve a little quicker, and you're going to, and guys are getting faster, stronger, and bigger, each and every generation. And because of that, you're seeing faster speeds, and you're seeing, guys coming out and be able to compete right off the bat.
Okay, and one last question, then we'll cut you loose. Team Reed has always been something very important to you, and very, very much a team. Kids are getting older. Steve's still obviously very much in the mix. How significant and vital is the Team Reed component to your game today?
It's everything. My team, when it comes down to with Justine and my coaches and that side of the team, able to bounce things off ideas on the golf, how to prepare, how to do certain things, how to improve. But then the other side of Team Reed, where you have Justine as the wife and the two little ones, puts perspective on just life in general. I'm fortunate enough to play a sport for a living, and to travel the world, see the world. But then at the same time, at the end of the day, I go out and play golf, and the only thing you can control is what you do on the golf course. And when you go home and it doesn't matter if I shoot 63 or 73 or 83, when you walk in the door, Windsor, Wells, and Barrett, they just look at you and, you're their hero. They're like, Daddy, Daddy's home. They don't care what happened on the golf course. They're just happy to have me back. And when you have that, it's amazing, because you're able to kind of you're able to ride the highs, but you're able to keep those in check where they don't get too high, because if you get too amped, it's very easy to kind of get out of pattern. But then at the same time, when things are not going your way, they're there to pick you up and kind of put a perspective on life that, hey, even though today was a bad day, you still have two little ones and a family to go back to that are that really aren't focusing as much on golf and just happy to see you.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what is your schedule like coming up?
So actually, I'm playing next week, and week off, then U.S. Open. So good thing to kind of get on at this 3-week run I started last week, and then have the U.S. Open. And then after that, I'll be playing Travelers and go Travelers and then Detroit. So 2 little 3-week runs here, which will be fun, and look forward to getting out playing and competing with the guys.
Okay, well, lucky you. You'll get to see a lot of me. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and have a great week this week. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Patrick.